Call the meeting to order. First one on the agenda is 24-227, approval agenda.
Anything to add?
No.
Move we approve the agenda as written, proposed.
I second that.
A motion approved and seconded. All those in favor? All opposed? We move on to 24-228, open forum, and we have nobody on open forum. We will go down to the good stuff. 24-229, discussion action on rebuilding projects. SPT Architects and McCown Gordon are here.
You want to start with them?
Yeah. Eric and Barry, are you guys good starting?
I have to leave my carrots when we talk. That works for us.
Okay.
Alright, so wanted to bring everybody up to speed. At our last board meeting here a week or so ago, we were chatting through the demolition project and wanted to provide a little update here of what we've learned in the last week and a half. And there was some discussion last time about having a third-party structural engineer come into the building to give kind of a second opinion and see if there was an opportunity for a different demolition approach. What we've learned here in the last week and a half as it relates to that is the bids that we received on the 19th, we ended up receiving 6 of those total. And we had them take a look at a couple different options for us, and really, this has been condensed down into 2 different options. And then option 1, as we're going to call it, is demolishing the building with the third-party structural engineer and going in to abate the building so the hazardous materials are for the most part removed. Option 2 would be to demolish the building as is, with all hazardous materials remaining in the building, and the demolition contractor would need to go find a place for all that debris to be taken and accepted. Through that process, what we've learned is there is not a very significant cost premium between the 2 options. And in fact, what we're discovering here is that it's likely going to be a cost benefit to demolish the building with the hazardous materials in place. And the benefit there is a couple of things. One is there's no need for a third-party structural engineer. There is not a need for abatement of the building that would provide additional cost and additional time. So the schedule would be extended before that building would be able to be demolished, as well as any structural reinforcements that would need to take place should there need to be any. So at this point, we are planning to come back in front of you all the week on May 6th to present that full bid package and that full demolition scope. But wanted to give a heads up there that delta between the 2, between demolishing the building with it abated or demolishing the building as it stands today with wet demolition, really isn't a cost benefit to the district. So we're having a few more conversations with the trade partners and the prospective demolition bidders to make sure that they've got everything on the up and up, and that they are qualified bidders and able to perform this work in accordance with the schedule. So as we shared with Eric, and I believe he passed this on to the school board, is for us to consider some proposals for the third-party structural engineer. At this point, we're going to make a recommendation to hold off on executing any of that until we finalize this, and we believe at this point those services won't be needed. So that's what I've got for demo update. What questions does everybody have?
Questions? Everybody good? Reagan?
That May 6th meeting. That night's also the FFA banquet. How would it work for you guys if we started at 4:30, 5 o'clock?
On May 6th?
Yeah. That's the day we've had scheduled.
What is that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, now we had a track meet just get rescheduled to that day too.
Always something for what?
So here we are.
May 6th.
Or Barry, and Eric, is that all you have?
I believe so, at least from my end.
is
Eric?
that the same day?
No, I think from my end as well.
No, he said the track.
All right, thank you, guys.
You said the
That's
track.
why we wanted to
Yeah.
do early.
Are we gonna hold off on we don't need to do anything, just hold off on the engineer?
Yeah, they said to hold off on that for now.
Sounds good to us.
It is. It is.
Okay, thank you, guys.
So by
It's
4,
at 6:30 though is the banquet.
oh,
I
the
think.
banquet, so 6:15, we're busting out of
It's
here.
at the
We're gonna get a time limit.
Hold on, that's.
Okay.
Isn't that what Marcy said, Eric?
Yeah,
I was
6:30.
thinking that's
We
what
can
it was.
run into it.
It's at the clock.
I figured we were
Right.
starting.
Oh, no, that's a negative Ghost Rider.
We need four of them.
Come here.
All right, we shall move on.
All right.
Mr. Gregg.
Yeah, so, and Kevin and James, yeah. So we thought we'd just start by talking about the survey results a little bit. You want to go to that next slide, Eric?
Chandler, you may have to control this.
I'll switch your tab.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So basically, changed a little bit from earlier on to where, 30% supported the 712 option, 54% supported the K-12 option, 10.5 supported both options, and 5% doesn't support either one. So you could look at it as 64% supported both or 40% support either. It's kind of a 64-40 kind of a deal. And so we had about 360 responses, I believe, and if you read through all the comments, or if you read through all the comments, they were a lot more lengthy this time in their thoughts, which was great. So we appreciate all that, and it's just good feedback. I think if you go to the next slide, all of them really high percentage on either were they a property owner or were they a resident of Rollins County, and then the zip code information is on there as well. So I thought that bode well for the representation within the area and people that would be voting. Go to the next slide, and then I'll let Lacey and Jeff talk about this piece.
Yeah, we sent out a survey to the staff to see what they kind of thought, and 92.7% came back with a K-12. 12.7 was a 712.
Do we have a copy there?
No.
No.
Okay, I'll quit looking there.
We did have it kind of, I guess, sectioned out between teachers, paras, custodial staff, and but just so we made sure that we had a good amount of people that responded. So that's with 30 teachers, 12 paras, a couple custodians, office and administration, bus drivers. So we've tried to pull as many people as we could. So that's what we ended up there.
So what were your numbers again?
92.7% in favor of a K-12. So 51 people in favor, 7 in favor of a 712. So students, we surveyed fourth grade through the seniors. We didn't survey the younger ones. So we sent it out a day early down here, just, we didn't email up to the big kids yet, and so I looked at it the day that we did it down here just to see elementary-wise where we were, and it was a 70-30 split on elementary kids that voted on it, so 70% were in favor of a K-12. Then the high school chimed in that next day, and so where we at right now, we had 56 voted for 7-12, 138 for the K-12, and so that's a 71.5% in favor of a K-12 building. We did ask them, why did you choose that option? We had some really good responses. And then we put an extra question on there of, do you have any other thoughts you would like to tell us? So, kids are great. It was. So,
What's our favorite one?
I want to see
can we
those.
have spaghetti every 2 weeks?
What?
Can we have spaghetti every 2 weeks? Can we have more stuffed crust pizza? So it was great, but there was actually, I mean, it wasn't a required response, but we did get 157 responses on the one that didn't need an answer. But we did require them to tell us why they chose their option, and so they were pretty thoughtful. And in both ways, they had some really good thoughts on that. So I could read you a couple of them, or we can email them to you too. But
Email those to us. I'd like to see them.
they're good. I did look through there, and I know that a lot of adults have been worried about bullying and different things, and I saw one response on there saying that, we need to be watching out for bullying. Some of them would say things like, we gotta make sure the kids are being nice to each other, but like the word bullying was not brought up except for one time, and that was, we have them sectioned out so you can see what grade level that was, and that was a senior that it just said, like, we need to watch for bullying, basically, but not one other student was concerned about that. So some of them, their responses were, we have more teachers watching us, so the elementary teachers are probably gonna, tell us what to do or something like that. So, in other words, more eyes. So they're a little apprehensive about that, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing at that point.
I have one comment. I talked to some people from McDonald's or Herndon, half a dozen people today, and one negative comment I got was about the kids being together was language. They said that.
Well, and they're together, but they're separate. Like even today, we're all in the gym. We had a musical performance today, and so yes, we were all in a gym together.
There's going to be more separation than there was down here.
Yeah, right. And so the big kids are on one side, the little kids are on the other side, and there's not really. I mean, we're there, but it's not like you're going to hear anything inappropriate,
Yeah.
And the passing periods are different in the hallways, and I mean, if it's planned right, the only time they're going to really mingle would be planned times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Next. As far as, I guess, just a quick update, you probably know this a little bit, but Governor Kelly signed the county sales tax measure, so it can be on the ballot. The county has to approve the resolution to have the question on the ballot. I think there's some things going on with that discussion that have to be figured out yet. So, I don't know. So what we did is we put together a couple question options, and so this, you're going to have one question that has kind of says, do you want to do a K-12 building? And this would not be the final question. Piper Sandler would kind of modify this a little bit, tweak it a little bit, but the gist of it would be, shall Unified School District number 105, Rawlins County, Kansas issue general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $29.9 million to pay the cost to construct, equip, and furnish additions to the existing Rawlins County schools within this district, to create a K-12 building. B, make renovations and upgrades to the existing gymnasium. C, make renovations and upgrades to the VOAG building. D, make other improvements, including other security upgrades and improvements to the exterior of buildings. E, make site improvements, including parking and other site improvements. F, make all other necessary improvements pertinent thereto, collectively the project. And H, pay costs of issuance and interest on the bonds during construction of the project, etc. So that would be like an example of a question if you just wanted to have one question for a K-12 building. Another way to do this is that if you're not comfortable with that, is this is option 2. So this would be 2 questions. And this question would be, first, shall Unified School District Number 105, Rawlins County, Kansas, issue general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $24.3 million to pay the cost to construct, equip, and furnish additions to the existing Rawlins County schools with the district to create a 712 building. And then the other parts are the same as before. So then you ask this question, and then you go to the next one. And then question 2 would be, if question number 1 is approved, shall Unified School District Number 105, Rawlins County, Kansas, issue additional general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $5.6 million to pay the cost to construct, equip, and furnish additions to the district to create additional classrooms to support spaces for K-6 classrooms to create a K-12 building. So this would be a way that you could give people an option. And these numbers don't have to be exactly that yet. I know there's some conversation around that still, but just want to show you how maybe you could have 2 ways to approach this subject. Any thoughts on that?
I think the more questions you have, the more confusing it gets to everybody. Yep. That would be my first thing.
I understand what you're saying by confusion, but I also don't think that it should be like, this is your only option, take it or leave it. And that's more of a pushing it on you, it's more of a dictatorship in my mind. And I don't agree with that, I oppose that 100%. I don't think you should force anything on anybody.
No.
I think that has been the conversation in some aspects is, well, they need a school, so this is what they're just going to do. And that shouldn't be the intention, motive, or action as a board or a USD. So give them the option. And that way, if they pass question number 1's positive, affirmative, then yeah, we have that vote. We can do that. If number 2 is not, we still have number 1 that's passed, and we can go from there.
Right.
So essentially, you're saying we don't want all of our eggs in one basket if we word it, if the verbiage is like, I mean, I agree with that. So the 7 through 12 would pass no matter what, right?
Well, if people voted for it.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm not understanding like what you would put as an option, just option 1 or just option 2.
So
I'm not understanding.
the second way
There we
would
go,
be,
there's too many questions.
It's already confusing.
well, the second way would be saying that we know what we need. The 2 questions are saying we know what we need. We need a 7 through 12.
Well, the question's not saying we know what we need. The question's just saying, here it is. It's
A 7 through 12.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you put question 1 and question 1 on the ballot?
Say that again.
But,
No, because you can't.
and say you can only vote for 1.
Because people won't understand that. It'll get really, it will be a mess, because people will not understand that I need to vote for one or the other, and it's.
Well, then it's same confusion with the 2 you got.
Well, we said if question number 1 is approved, shall the Unified, trying to show the opportunity to increase the bond amount if you want a K-12. And there'd have to be some education along the way. Like you said, multiple questions get confusing. I mean, there was comments on the survey about why didn't we give people more options? Why are we just showing a K-12 building at floor plan and a 7-12 building floor plan? Like, why don't we have more options? Well, it's impossible for us. It's impossible in a survey and it's impossible in a question to give 4 or 5 options and have everybody be on the same page about getting good information about what they're going to approve, you know? Because it's just really difficult when you're doing that unless you have everybody in the room and can talk about it. You know?
The survey questions were option 1 and option 2, 7 through 12 or 8 through 12, right? That was okay on the survey, but you're saying that on the ballot that it wouldn't be okay?
I've never seen it done that way.
I understand that,
And
but
I've
I'm
never
saying by
done
that
two-
statement
yeah.
is saying that it's confusing on a ballot, but
Not confusing. on the
not
survey.
confusing here.
Yeah, it's not going to be able to be written the same way in a ballot as we can word it in a survey, is my concern. So,
So both of
I mean, I
those
think-
questions will be on the ballot.
No.
No, just we have to pick one of those. Is
It
that
would-
what you're saying?
Well, on the option 2, it would be both questions. If we
It's
chose,
both, with the addition of the.
Yeah.
so
it would
that's
be,
what-
we're voting for
If
the
I
7.
was for K through 12, that's what I would vote.
you'd vote for both.
For
You'd vote
both.
yes
Yes
for
and
both.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm not understanding, wasn't understanding.
Yeah. And that's the concern when you have 2 questions.
Mhm.
It's like, are people going to understand it when they
Nobody
get to the
will
voting
find-
booth? And it's not because,
We have a yes campaign.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. We have a yes, yes.
Which way do you feel comfortable? You've done more of these than we have.
Well, I like just asking for what you want,
Okay.
what you
Fair
think what you think you should do. But
I mean, that was kind of the point of the
Take-
surveys was to get the
Yeah.
Taking the
direction.
comments from the survey is what you're doing.
but
So what happens if we vote on K through 12? Like, what happens if it doesn't pass?
then you probably turn right around and do another bond issue in
And do
November
another
for
bond.
7 through 12.
Okay.
I think at this point, I mean, I know our rules are what they are, but
Well, that's fine.
That's- that's-
I can wait.
What have you done in the past, Megan?
What's that?
Have we
Sorry.
taken, we haven't really taken questions from.
we
the audience,
haven't,
have we?
but I think that
No.
we're kind of in uncharted territory with the whole situation is all I'm.
But we've also had comment from the gallery when we shouldn't have either,
When we
so,
called for them.
not necessarily, but that's
Okay.
fine.
That's what I'm asking, what the precedent is.
You can take his question.
All right, have at her.
So on the ballot, it'd be 1 or none, correct? Is that what you're saying? That's,
Well, I'm saying that, yes, typically it's one question and you make that proposal to the public. We're giving an option here that you could put 2 questions on the ballot and do it that way. And districts have done that before.
I guess I'm not
So-
sure what's confusing if one says K through 12 and one that says 7 through 12, right?
Because like we already had a question that people didn't quite understand it when we presented it. And so, oh, you're saying if one says K through 12 and one says 7
Because
through 12?
Then people are gonna vote no on the 7-12 and put yes on the K-12, but you can't do that.
You can't, so you can't have an option.
Because it's not, yeah, it's
The
not,
K-12 part would be in addition to the 7-12.
I don't think people are that stupid.
Well, I'm sitting here like, I'm reading it, okay, just tell me what you want.
this was the
When
point,
you get in that ballot, start reading,
Understand that.
you'd be surprised.
this was kind of the whole,
education is gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where your campaign is gonna have to come into.
I think the reason we're asking about the second option is there's just been some controversy on the board and we're looking for a path to move forward.
Yeah.
Because we need,
but that's what
It's a
the
lot
whole
e-
point of doing the surveys was to try to get figured out which direction to go. And out of 2 surveys, they both come back with the same, basic same response of the K-12, so. It seems clear to me which, to do the
With
option 1
confusing questions, right?
on the survey.
I'm just saying the argument could be is it's a clear
You can argue it.
direction and
Yeah.
I'm just,
I can make an argument.
like he
you just
said-
argue and argue.
like he said, that's where the campaigning comes in. Once we decide, they'll come in and campaign and educate people on, what you're voting for. I would assume.
Why not just make it easy?
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the other option is you select one option to go for, and if people vote for it, then we move forward. If not, then we immediately do another bond election for 7 through 12. And that, because these questions get long and confusing, when people go into the ballot box. And so, you try to simplify as best you can.
I mean, there'll be plenty of people that would be educated, but there's gonna be plenty of people that have no idea what they're circling on there either, so. I would advise to just go with the option 1, just make it simple. If something happens and it doesn't go through, then we try again.
Yeah, and that's what you all have to decide to vote for.
I'm in agreement with that.
I think we've done both surveys, what I saw, this last one, or from the first one, take your time, do it right. The second one, and I'm not saying it's 100% like this, but it's time to go. We need to get something on for our community, and I saw several comments about, we're the leaders, we need to present what we think is best.
I read quite a few of them too.
So how do we make a decision on which to go with? We need to
Vote.
vote
Probably
on
have
it?
a vote, and I don't know if you can do it tonight or not.
Does it need to be, should it go through, because if it's gonna change the wording, should we at least have the bond company?
Yeah, what we would
get it
do,
So it's worded how it's
Yes.
going to be
we
before
would,
we vote on what
we would
don't
come
know
back.
what we're voting on?
I think what we would do is we had the direction, we would say, hey, we would come back on May 6th with the final wording of it for you guys to approve.
Can we decide if we want it to be, 1 question or 2 questions though? Or
At that point,
No, right now.
I
So-
think that'd be great direction to give us, so we knew what to tell the bonded company to, you don't have to
And then
vote
we
for
can
it.
figure out what the verbiage is gonna be and then decide on that.
Because the other thing that we need to determine is the final cost that we want to present.
Right.
You guys, I think there's been some question about the final cost and what it should be. And, having that discussion as well. Because we need to be able to tell the Piper Sandler what what cost we're going back with and what the questions can be. So they can write it down.
I would say that's where that's kind of the next hurdle is we need to figure out, or the sales tax and that distribution. We started talking with 103 earlier this week.
How is that determined by us?
Just,
It's not up to us, is it?
no, it's really up to the county, but county asked us to come up with an agreement with them.
So were they involved in discussions as well?
Who, the county? No, it was my understanding they wanted us to go with Shetland.
I'm just curious. What were the results of that?
We're still trying to get a couple of questions answered.
We'll have more questions answered, and then we'll meet again, see if we can get anywhere.
So what was proposed?
I don't really think anything was
It
proposed.
was just a discussion.
It was just an informational meeting. So,
But really, that discussion doesn't have a whole lot of pertinence to the bond amount, because the bond amount is gonna be the same no matter what that is. You guys just have to be comfortable with the overall bond amount. Whether or not you have any, the sales tax only alleviates some of the mill levy that's associated with it, but the total bond amount is still the total bond amount. So do you guys have any questions for me on the total bond amount that I can help with, or that we can help with, or what are your thoughts there?
we can get some hard numbers and see where we go.
What's that?
Get some hard numbers and
Well, the hard numbers right now that we present are 29.9 million for the K through 12, and what was it?
24.
24.3.
And the 24.3. I guess one thing I would say is you're asking when you pass a bond issue, you're asking for the authority to borrow to that amount. You still, as a board, have the flexibility later on whether or not you want to use all of that authority. So you do have the flexibility, probably up until all the bonds are sold, because you can't just pay them back right away. But you have the authority not to establish a lower budget. Basically, is what I'm saying later on, if you wanted to do that.
If we don't need them, we don't have to use them.
Correct.
Doesn't have to go, that goes as construction moves along?
Well, when you sell the bonds, you can't, you can do it a couple different ways. You don't have to sell all the bonds at one time. You could sell $25 million worth of bonds and give yourself the flexibility to just sell $5 million worth of bonds, $4.9 million worth of bonds later on in the project. But if you sell all the bonds, then you have to keep them for a while, because you have, like, I don't know exactly the time, but it's like a 5-year duration where you can't pay them back early. But you do have the flexibility that, say I want to pay $25 million worth of bonds, I'm going to leave myself that flexibility until absolutely needed.
Yeah.
And if you want to say we're going to establish the overall budget at 28 million later on, you could say that's what we're going to establish it at.
And just sell 3 more million later.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Questions, comments?
Yeah.
Motions, what?
What would be your comment in looking at 75% of the surveys came out of a 67730?
I'm not sure what you're asking there.
Well, you just saying 75% came out of it. Then we got all the rest of the county. It's about 60% of the population is in the 6770 or 30.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get a majority out of that.
Right.
But that's leaving 40%.
Yeah, it's hard to say how that's going to impact things. Yeah. But the only people voting for the bond issue are the ones within the school district boundary.
Right.
So I think that's probably how I would answer that. It's like, not everybody who's voting for the sales tax is voting for the bond issue project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can fairly spread it out across the total population of registered voters, but.
Yeah.
it would be a concern.
What do you think on the option, 1 or 2, or?
This, the voters, I think, should have the opportunity. I mean, it's one last time to express an opinion. And I think both option for the K through 12 and the option for the 7 through 12 should be on the ballot. Vote for one. If you vote for 2, then the ballot is invalid.
That gets even more tricky.
Yeah, I think
There's also another way to look at this, and here's the perspective is by putting one question on there, I understand what the survey says, I understand that, again, we're in a very unique conversation in this, because we have to have a school, right? So, you leave it as one option, and somebody's gonna look at that as, well, we gotta have a school, I guess I don't care, I'm gonna, but then they'll bitch about it the entire time. But you're playing off of the sympathy of you have to have a school. You're not giving them the option.
No.
That's why I
that's
disagree
not.
with it.
You can vote no, and we can come back and do it again. So,
I get that.
I mean, we'd what, be 3 months later? I mean, at this point in the game, what's 3 months? Hasn't killed us yet, so.
Well, we could look at it another direction. You put the 2 questions on there based off the surveys, it's gonna come back K through 12. It's a majority vote.
If they understand.
If they, yeah.
And if that's the case, then why not put one question on there, K through 12?
Exactly.
And it either passes or gets voted down. Then you're gonna have some people hollering, didn't get an opportunity to express my opinion.
I think everybody's had plenty of opportunities.
You want one question on it, or you want 2 questions?
Especially according
I
to his
would
responses.
prefer to
when
see
they
2
have not
questions, but I
even
mean,
tried to educate
I'll live with
themselves.
whatever board
Right,
majority
some of them-
decides.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had 2 community meetings, we've had 2 surveys, we've had many other special meetings. There's been plenty of time for people to come and express.
There is a lot of good stuff in there. There's a lot of people that have responded in this that haven't even tried to, some of them, there's one in there that thinks that we're just tearing the school down just to tear it down.
Yeah, but there is.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we've got to make a decision that we feel is best for the community, for the future, for everybody that is involved in this.
and it sucks, it has to be us.
Yes,
That's where we're at.
that's where we're at, and
I think it's time we move forward.
Make a decision and live with it.
so do you need a motion to go with just one question then?
What we do, option 1 or option 2, right, Greg?
Option 1.
Yeah, I don't know if you make a motion or if it's just you give us direction to come back with one question,
Okay, well then, with one question.
If you guys, I don't know if you want to ask for a consensus on that or get it at least enough. I don't know if you have to take a vote, but that's your choice. Can you take a vote since it's not an action item on the agenda? That's
I
what I'm
mean,
not
we
sure
have
about.
the discussion of the options.
Okay.
Yeah, discussion action on it. I don't see why we couldn't take action on it.
Well, then, if you
Yeah, I
can,
guess-
then that'd be great.
Where's everybody at? I'm not here next year.
I read several comments in the 100, and I only got through like 150 or 60 of them. Basically, several of them said, the board needs to get off their butt and make a decision. Nothing's been done.
That's right.
So we cannot make a motion on this tonight, right?
No, I
Yeah.
think they're saying
Oh,
we.
but you said we
I
can.
think they're saying we can.
Oh, okay, we can then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right, isn't it? Huh?
The other deal is you're gonna see people walk in there and they're gonna make one check mark and that's gonna be it. And they're gonna come back and say, well, I didn't pass, I voted for it. There's too many people that, when they start going through these decisions in the deal, they get confused and don't know what they're voting for. Well, I voted for it already, why do I gotta vote again, kind of a deal. I don't know.
It is all perspective, different opinions, different perspectives.
Exactly.
And, I mean, I guess comment made is if the county proposes or does the sales taxes to questions, they can do that, that's every right for them to do that too.
Yep.
So,
Well, I just have more faith in people than maybe some of y'all do. I think they have the ability to make a decision.
how many paper copies were done on the survey filled out?
27.
That was
That was
all
just
of
one
them.
day.
Oh, okay, that was
I
just
thought
what you
there
had
was
brought.
30 something.
Okay.
Was that 50?
Yeah, I would guess it's around 15.
Is 55.
How many did you say, 55?
55 people. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion. Mr. President, I move that we go with option 1 for the bond question.
There's a motion to go with option 1 on the bond, question, or the school question.
Do you need to say to refine
Do
it,
I need to say?
or give Greg direction to refine?
No, that's,
Oh.
no,
That's good
that's
enough.
enough, yeah.
Which, yeah,
I'll second.
and we'll get the final
What
one.
is the motion going,
Option 1, one
One
question.
question.
One question.
giving you the authority to put one question on the ballot?
To put the wording together for the mace.
Yeah. Right.
They're gonna reword that.
What we'll do is we'll have Piper Sandler reword the question and bring it back for your guys' approval on May 6th.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to go with option 1 on the questions, to give Greg direction which way to go. All those in favor? All opposed?
Okay? I'm gonna go to the next slide. So I guess the next question is just the schedule. How do you want us to proceed with moving forward? You guys are in a unique position. Most bond issues, we don't ever get started with drawings until we know the result of the vote because there's no funds available if the vote doesn't pass. But you guys have insurance money available, and if we want to start construction in the fall, we have to get started with drawings now. If we wait until after the bond issue passes, it's going to take us 3 or 4 months to get our drawings done. Then McCown Gordon would be bidding everything in probably January, February timeframe, and construction would start in the spring. It's pushing it right now. I know McCown Gordon can't guarantee that we'll have everything ready by January of 26, but we can push towards that goal and make a plan to try to achieve it as best we can. And I think it's achievable, but it's not going to be maybe you're not do everything all at once. And so we're doing something similar in Heston where we're building one wing and then coming back and building the rest of it. But things have to fall into place too, procurement and all those things also. So do you want us to get started with drawings now, or do you want us to wait? That's kind of a decision to make.
Wasn't the comment, get your butt moving?
Many of them.
What has got to be done to get the gym open and the commons area open?
That's gonna happen by August. So what has to happen is I say that, I'm not committing you guys, I can't commit those guys to it. They're gonna say, Greg, what's Zachary doing? But.
Yeah, hey, Greg, this is Eric with McCown Board. I'm not gonna make that promise to y'all, sorry, that it's gonna be done by August, because we still gotta get in there and start the process, right? We've had a couple pieces fall into place, but I'm not gonna sit here and promise that to you, just with everything else you've been through. I understand that is a high priority, and it's a high priority for us to get you in there as quickly as possible, but I'm not gonna guarantee it's gonna be by August 1.
So we're all pushing toward that goal, and the things that have to happen are the fire alarm has to happen and the electrical has to happen. Those are the only two things that have to happen for us to. We're not saying we're gonna have the locker rooms done. We're not saying we're gonna have, all the other stuff done. But if the commons area, if you want to use it, we're not planning on doing really much work in there because, if we do the K-12 building, we're gonna tear that piece down anyway. And so. But if you could at least use it fairly much as is, which right now it just doesn't have a ceiling, it would still be usable space. And so and in our discussion so far, those things seem achievable, but again, there's no guarantees. So. But regardless, that's kind of we already have that ball in motion, and the next ball in motion is, do you want us to start work on the actual new construction of the building? And we can do it in a way that is just even the 712 portion. Say the building were to, say the bond issue were to fail in August, that they didn't approve the K-12. But the critical path of getting you guys in, getting the students back in the seats in the new building is the 712 portion. We could limit our design work to that portion of the building because the critical path is getting the basement started and the foundation work and site work on that side. The elementary part can come later. So I think there's really minimal risk because you need something. You need something.
Well, and we need some sort of and I'm not saying it wouldn't pass with one. I just wanted more people to be able to have that option if they wanted that choice for two.
Right.
But we do need a contingency plan, and God forbid, it didn't pass. We need to be aware of that risk as well. This isn't a sure thing just because 2 surveys said so. That means nothing until you see that in black and white. So we do need that.
Do you need us to vote on that?
We've already approved our contract. It's just a matter of.
I'm just curious if you make a motion.
Sure.
Is there anybody opposed to him starting drawings?
I do like the idea of starting with the 712 just in case.
I'm gonna make a motion. I moved
It
that
won't take much to add that.
SBT moves forward on 7 through 12 to get the ball rolling.
I second it.
Motion to start on the drawings. And second, all in favor?
One thing I like about that is it's on record that the public can say, hey, you guys are doing something.
Well, I think everybody on the board is in the same, we all want the same goals. It's just everybody has different perspectives of things.
We've had to get there.
Nobody's saying that they don't want a school that's farthest from it. Don't read what you see.
Honestly, I think the criticism that you haven't been doing anything is not well placed because things take time, and you guys have been through a lot, and there's a lot in motion here with even just getting school started, getting the demo going, getting all this other stuff going so you can start school and potentially in the summer. So educating the public along the way, it's not as simple as just saying let's go. So.
Okay, there you go. You have all sorts of directions.
That's right, it's awesome.
You're way behind now. I want to see some action.
Well, I think the next action will be when McCown Gordon comes here. I mean, they got 6 bids. That was fantastic to get.
That's a pretty good number of bids. That's more than I thought we'd get.
Yeah, and so they're sifting through that and bringing them back on May 6th.
Are you gonna be here on the 6th, you guys?
I may be virtual.
Okay.
My daughter just had twins yesterday, so.
Just had-
My daughter just had twins yesterday, and she's up in Wisconsin, so I gotta find a way to get there.
Make
You
that, that's
you
argument
be gone.
easily made.
Why are you here?
Huh? It was on my wife's birthday.
Oh, cool.
Right, you did, that was yesterday.
Was it planned that way?
Not exactly. I mean, she did have a C-section, so it was planned, not because.
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We won't call you grandfather.
How many is there? Is that?
I'm not a grandfather. I'm a papa.
How many have you got?
3. So, yeah. Appreciate it though.
All right, what's next?
That's it from us.
Demolition,
now?
they talked demolition. You're done?
I'd say, yeah, I don't have anything else.
Terry? You're up.
I'm up, fine.
It really is.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
I didn't realize how you guys' open forum worked, that's why I was here. I know you had to sign up, can I say something or not?
Before we
You're
adjourn.
president.
Yeah, I'd go right ahead. Already said president.
The one thing I wanted, some of you don't know, Rollins County Commissioner, I wanted to put a stop to the rumor going around that I'm trying to block your guys' bond. I'm not trying to block your bond. I don't know where it started. I don't know if it started here in the school. I don't know if it started around town. That's why I don't come to town. That's why I live on the other side of the county. I'm not trying to block your bond. I think there needs to be some negotiations at the sales tax deal, but the bond, I know you guys need a school. So that's what I wanted to say. I don't know where it's going around, but I got a call yesterday from somebody, and I won't mention any names, that I'm trying to block your guys' bond, and I'm not trying to do that. Even if I could, it's not even possible, because that is majority. One vote's not gonna block a bond, and I don't even think it comes down to the commissions on whether you guys get your bond or not. That's up to the votes, or the people doing that. So I don't know where it started, but I just wanted to come publicly and say to you guys, I'm not trying to block your bond. I know you guys need a school, I get it, so.
You wanna stay?
That's the first time for
Yeah, well,
You wanna finish with that on the newspaper?
yeah. So that's all.
We had a motion to adjourn in a second, all in favor? All opposed?
Hey, Lincoln, I'll quit calling people out now.